What's up, Game Devs? T-Chan here, and welcome to episode 22 of Game Dev Loadout, where I chat with today's most experienced game developers 7 days a week. We will learn about their background, the challenges they face, and the tools they use to reach success. And today's featured guest is Larry Hendrix. Larry, it is go time. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Awesome. He has been in the game industry for more than 14 years. He is the owner and creative director of Fortunato7 Studios. They make mobile games. He is also an instructor at the Art Institute of Houston, teaching game design and character animation. So go ahead, Larry, give us a bit about your personal life and how you got started in the game industry.
Well, I got my degree in graphic design. I worked in corporate America for a while. Worked at NASA, worked at a company called EDS, and then the bug to create games set in around 2000. And I started going to different seminars and different networking facilities like Game Developers Conference, different things, and started working with a couple of demos for certain different companies. Long story short, here I am with my own company.
So what do you consider your main area of expertise?
Focusing mostly on animation and design. I usually do most of the animations on any projects that I work on.
Animation. So if people had to teach themselves your expertise, what would you suggest they use?
Well, that's what's part of my library is a book called The Animator Survivor Kit by Richard Williams, who is the animation director for Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I go to that book. I had this book for about 10 years now. I keep going back to it in order to just get the 12 principles, make sure that I'm adhering to them when, even in game development, 12 principles come in handy.
Ooh, can you expound upon some of the principles real quick?
Well, especially exaggeration. So, especially when games, you're trying to make your games unique, and make your characters unique. So, exaggeration is very important. The characters got to have a life outside the game. So, you think of Angry Birds. Angry Birds is pretty much just another clone of Catapult, but it's the characters that make that game so unique because they're animated, they exaggerate when they're flying through the air, they emote. So it's appealing, which is another one of the 12 principles.
And on that subject, what are common mistakes, even at a pro level, that people make?
Even at a pro level, you have to, the first thing, rule of game making is start a project, finish a project. You don't want to think of something really big. When you first start making games, it's just like anything else. It takes practice. You're not going to make Halo the first time. You're going to make something small. And what's important is that you finish that project because that's where you learn. You learn what's right to do and what's wrong to do.
What are your key principles for better game development? Something that makes game development easier or faster or higher quality?
Stay organized.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Make sure that you have a vision when the game starts and you stick with that vision. When you're doing a game design document, that game design document is going to change, but the overall vision of the game must stay the same. And also, it's really important to not second guess yourself. If a game idea was interesting and unique when you first thought of it, it's still interesting and unique. You may get to a point where you're doing it and you may doubt that other people will like the game. But the best way to make yourself feel good about that is to actually have people playing it, even if it's early, even if you're not confident about the game. Game players do a lot of design work for you because they know exactly what they want. They know exactly what they would like to see. And sometimes you get tunnel vision, you may not see what they're able to see. So when you start a game project, have people playing the game as early as possible. And also make sure that you do a prototype because that's when your best ideas come together, when you can actually play the game.
Yeah, and what do you want to tell people that, let their ego get in the way sometime? They don't want to take the user's perspective, or they just don't want to change a mechanic because they work so hard on it. What do you want to tell those people?
Well, the first rule of game design is never to fall in love with your first idea. 9 times out of 10, no game comes out fully fleshed out. I mean, when you think about Shigeru Miyamoto's Pikmin, I mean, he got the idea from going into his garden and watching ants go through their daily routines. I mean, who would thought you could actually make a game from that and make it so unique? Now, I'm sure that he went through numerous ideas on that game before he decided on the look that you see today. This is one of my favorite games, by the way.
Oh yeah, I love Pikmin, and I can't wait for Pikmin 4. He announced it, and there's one coming out for 3DS too, I think.
Yes, I own all 3 of them so far.
Ooh, nice. Thanks for supporting that game. Now, creating a game can be very long and difficult, and I'm pretty sure you have some bad moments. So, give us a personal experience of your most difficult moment, and it could be an obstacle or an emotion you have to overcome. Be detailed and give us that story.
Well, you heard that some people can get demoralized by a game. By making the game, you start to doubt yourself. If you have people play it and then they like it, then you start to get full of yourself and you get to that point where you don't want to continue with the game because you want to maintain the high that you got from people playing the game from the first time. And that's a very dangerous trap that you can put yourself into. So if you get that positive feedback, it should be incentive to just continue to work, make the game better, make it as best as possible. Another setback could be you run out of ideas. You get to a point where something's not working. You're making the game, you put the mechanics in as not working. And no matter how many people you have played the game, you still don't see what the problem is. At which point you may have to scrap that idea. And again, it hurts because you think you fall in love with that idea and you think that you're failing by scrapping that idea, but no game actually comes out fully finished. You get to a point to where you always can add more to it. You gotta ship sometimes. You haven't made a game until you actually have people playing it. So,
but give us a personal experience. Do you have a personal experience that you recall that was just really difficult to complete or to overcome?
Well, to be honest, there's a project that I've been working on, and there's a certain style I want to use. And working with people, naturally, I'm an indie, so I can't really pay a whole lot for different tasks to be done. And you get people that are initially excited at first to help you with the project, but then life happens, then finance happens, and you lose that person. Now you have to start back at square one. And it's really demoralizing because it's like you get to this point, you got exactly how you want it, and then you have to say, well, unfortunately, you can't get what you want because it depended on somebody else, and that somebody else is not there anymore. So,
and that's the thing. You probably hired someone to take care of a task that you can't do, right? Someone to help with your weakness on the game development. Later down the line, when you already got a lot of the part of the game's completed, they just stop for whatever reason. And yeah, I could imagine that'd be really demoralizing, and you can't finish your game. What do you want to make sure game devs take away from that experience?
Make sure that anybody that you're working with, they want to be there to the end. I mean, you say you want to work with friends, you gotta be able to separate the friendship from the work. You gotta be able to tell that person, hey, you're not doing the job. You say you were committed to it. I need this to happen. You need to make this happen. Have to be firm and stern with them and still think that afterwards you can still be friends. If you can't separate that friendship from the work, then you shouldn't work with that person. If it means you have to do it by yourself or learn how to do it by yourself, at least it'll take longer for the game to complete, but at least you'll know that'll get done. I mean, that's what happened with Fez. name was Phil Fish. He's a programmer, but he had to learn to do pixel art, and it took the game longer to come out. But at least he knew that if he was doing it, it was going to get done. So it just meant a longer development time, which means he had to probably starve a little bit longer. But if you have to do it yourself, then so be it. If you can have other people help you, that's great. But ultimately, you got to make sure that this game gets done no matter what.
It's important from the get-go to get that commitment from people. And for whatever reason, if people start to fall out and you're on your own, you make that extra effort to develop your game and push it out there. And that just makes you even a better developer because you're learning more things and you understand what goes into game development and how people operate and stuff like that. So it's a big learning experience if something happens like that.
Now, make no mistake. I mean, I'm hoping to get to a point where I can just hire people, the top money, to make the game exactly how I want, when I want it, at which capacity I want. But until that point, I'm content with just doing everything on my own and then just contracting who I know will do the job that I need them to do.
Now, let's transition to a positive note. What is the best investment you've made? And it could be investment of money, time, or energy. And how did you decide to make that investment?
I would say I'm not plugging Unity, although I am a Unity evangelist. But I think the best investment I made was getting on the ground floor when Unity was just a Mac game engine. And then when they moved to PC, which was actually very smart of them, I was already on the ground running with it. So it gave me a lot of opportunities to actually get to a point to where I was able to do a lot of things in Unity and teach Unity. So, my upcoming project, Wild Dash, plug, is made in Unity. So, that's hopefully coming out later this year. And I think because I was on that ground floor, it made it possible for me to do most of the art and most of the programming. I'm actually an artist, but I have learned to script over the years. So
awesome. And what is the one thing you're most excited about today in the game industry?
That it's accessible to everybody. Now, some people may not like that. I mean, you'll have people just creating a bunch of crap and it'll be on Steam, it'll be on Android, but I'm a firm believer that cream rises to the top. And it wasn't very long ago that game development was very closed off. If you didn't have the money or the know-how to write a game engine or pay the big money, the big bucks for a 3D app or Photoshop, then it was closed off for you. But now you have these programs. Unreal is free. Unity is free. You have these 2D programs that you don't necessarily have to know how to program. It's drag and drop, though it does teach you game logic. But if you make something worthwhile with those games, you can put them on Steam. You can put them on the consoles. You can put them on mobile. So that's what I'm excited about. It's open to everybody. It's a lot easier. I mean, I wish that this type of stuff was available when I started, but everything happens at the right time.
Yeah, it's so much accessible now, and that's what game devs, especially new game devs, they just need to take action, get started, pick an engine. Unity, like you said, is free. Unreal is free. Tons of tutorials online,
right?
And the classes that do cost something are usually really cheap. So just go out there, pick something, and get started. And don't forget Game Devs. You can check out GameDevLoadout.com for all the show notes. You can also subscribe to my email list to get tips and updates. And now we have reached crunch time. Yes, the phase that Game Devs dread, but we are here to overcome it. Basically, Larry, I will ask you quick questions and you'll be giving us a ton of valuable information in return. Are you ready to crush it and release this show?
Definitely.
Let's do it. What was holding you back from becoming a game developer?
Getting a real job. the stigmata that you couldn't make any money off the game development industry.
Yeah, it was hard back then for sure.
Definitely.
What's a personal habit that contributes to your success?
I have the undying urge to get rich, and you're never going to get rich working for somebody else. So that what gets me going.
Nice. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
The best piece of advice, I would say that you got to do things that nobody else can do. If you're doing stuff that other people can do, you're not unique. You got to get to a point where you're a commodity. You as a person is a commodity. So you have to be able to wow people with your abilities, no matter what they are, even if it's not a game industry. You have to have something that makes you unique from other people so that you become valuable.
Yeah, in a business term, it's called a USP, a unique selling point. So definitely have a USP on your game. How has a failure set you up for later success?
It taught me what not to do. I mean, that's the best way I can describe it. Failure teaches you what not to do so that it's best to fail now when it doesn't really hurt you than to fail later when it could possibly cost you a lot. So get those failures out of the way now, learn what not to do so that by the time you get to a point where you're needing to succeed, you know how to succeed.
Is there a favorite failure you have that really helped you out in the future?
I would say I'm not going to call it a failure. My mobile game, Sudden Stop. That's something I put together in about 2-3 months, and it's on Amazon. It's on Android, by the way. It is free, by the way. There are some things I wanted to do with the game that I couldn't. I had to save it for the sequel, per se. And it taught me how to know exactly what I can do within a certain amount of time. And then schedule that time. Now you go into something bigger. You know exactly what you're dealing with. And you know exactly how to see time as a commodity. In my case, time is a bigger commodity than money, if that makes sense.
Time is so important. Go ahead and share an internet resource that Game Devs could use.
Definitely, game images are out there. YouTube, I always go to YouTube in order to figure out different things. You know, somebody may have already thought about the thing that I'm thinking about. So, you know, there's no need to reinvent the wheel or, you know, rack your brain trying to figure things out when somebody else has done it for you. And think about a simple mechanic that's something you could put together. I mean, if you think of a mechanic that's really fun, that's really engaging, design a game around that mechanic. You see that a lot with Nintendo. Nintendo does that a lot. They think about the mechanics and then they think about the story and the characters and the actual game per se.
Yeah, Nintendo is a great company to use as a role model for games. They're they're like the king of gameplay. I absolutely love their games.
Right, they keep it simple. They keep it at its core. I mean, because the game's not fun, you know, nobody's going to play your game.
Definitely. Now, this next question is a bit of a doozy, so take your time if you need to. Imagine you woke up the next morning in a brand new world and you knew no one. You still have all the experience and knowledge you currently have today. Your food and shelter is taken care of and you have a laptop. What would you do step by step on the path to become a great game developer?
Okay, so I didn't know anybody. I'm still kind of a neophyte in the industry, but I maintain the knowledge that I have now. Well, definitely I would find a way to build Minecraft. Or any of those really simple games that came out within the past 10 years that people fell in love with. I would definitely try to make that, or at least try to get to market around the same time somebody else does, or before. But definitely keep it simple. And like I say, I would definitely get into teaching a lot sooner, because teaching has forced me to do a lot of things that I didn't necessarily think I could do or was willing or was able to do. And teaching actually gave me that inspiration to learn that or take on that task so that I can better help my students.
Ooh, and thank you for that. Thank you for being a teacher for us newbies, I guess you could say.
Okay.
Now we have reached the end. Go ahead and give a parting piece of guidance and how we can connect with you.
Well, my name is Larry Hendrix, and my website is www.fortunato7.com. Sudden Stop, my mobile game, is out on Android and Amazon. Hopefully it'll be on iOS really soon, and Wild Dash will be out later this year. And I'm usually on Facebook, so if you see me on Facebook, don't hesitate to say hi.
And a parting piece of guidance.
Parting piece of guidance, just do it. I mean, make games because it's just like anything else. Making games takes practice. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. But just do it and start a project wherever no matter how small it is, make sure that you finish it. And make sure you have people playing it because they're going to help you become better as well.
Yes. Get started. Keep it simple. Make sure you have committed people. Get the user's perspective and finish your game. Larry, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. And for that, we are truly grateful. We look forward to your future work. And until then, we will catch you next time.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Game Devs, for listening. And remember that knowledge is only potential power. Execution is the game. So equip yourself with the best loadout and take action today. Go check out GameDevLoadout.com for all the resources. I highly encourage you to contact me as well because I would love to hear your thoughts on the show. And if this podcast inspired you, I would greatly appreciate it if you spread the word to help the show grow. Until then, join me on the next episode. T-Chan